Funky.
Welcome to another edition of the Funk Basement. It's the one and only DJ Hustle with my boy Stelvio in the building.
What's going on, fam?
We are happy to be healthy. Stelvio, you good? You healthy, my brother?
I'm good. All is good on this end, player.
Excellent.
Everything good.
That's what I want to hear. So look, let's dive into this. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of topics we can talk about. But I want to talk to you about shut it down versus grab the bag. Right? That's what young kids say, in case you didn't know that. So I know you're a little older, Stelvio. Grab the bag, that means, get your money and stuff like that, right? My daughter tells me that. So, all right. So you represent shut it down. I represent grab the bag. All right. So MLB, NBA, hockey, and NFL. All right. You're saying shut it down. Why? Why should they shut it down? And give me something beyond CDC numbers, okay? I want something deeper than CDC numbers. Why should they shut it down?
COVID-19.
Okay.
That's why they should shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just dangerous out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, proof is in the pudding. Just recently, baseball was hit hard with it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically because I think it's the MLB's fault.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they came at it at a completely different way than basketball. I would give basketball some credit because I criticized them actually starting the season and trying to have a full season and championship and all that stuff. But I will say this, they've done a great job, better than all the other sports, put it like that. They've done
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot better than all the other sports at trying to contain COVID by placing them, in this village bubble and doing all the appropriate testing, implementing a protocol that they felt would help protect everybody involved in the so-called tournament, which is what it kind of resembles as far as basketball. It kind of resembles the college tournament. That's kind of what it looks like, kind of what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done a great job at that. But like, we discussed in some previous segments, is that still you have people who are going to go against the grain, who are going to not always follow the protocol they're supposed to. And COVID will find their way into that bubble. That's just what's going to happen. There's nothing they can do about it. They can be as safe as possible. They can give as much advice as possible. And tell people what they can and cannot do, but you always have these knuckleheads who feel like they can do what they want to do and put everybody else in jeopardy. That's just how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like Major League Baseball hasn't followed any of that. Doesn't even look like they actually had a plan to keep something like that from happening. I didn't do any extensive reading on what the Major League Baseball protocol was to prevent COVID and to keep the baseball players safe. But whatever they implemented obviously didn't work because it was just a breakout of all breakouts. Who was it? The Cardinals? The St. Louis Cardinals got hit hard by that? Well, Cardinals is one of them. They got hit hard by COVID. Rumors be told was that they had several players at a casino. How true that was, I don't know. There's been opinions about that, but that say, hey, that wasn't the reason. But what is the reason is that they weren't following protocol. They got out there and all of a sudden it spread throughout the organization. All of a sudden they were in, a lockdown. And so they were actually considering shutting down the season, which I completely agree, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously players are not going to follow what they've tried to implement. I think that baseball was on the right track as far as trying to put them in one area and have, constant testing, having trackers and all that type of stuff to make sure that they are following protocol, trying not to infect each other and other people and get other people in there to go against that protocol. I think that they were doing the right thing. I have to give Adam Silver a whole bunch of credit, because obviously he really thought about it, or he got people around him who thought about it, and they came up with this idea. To me, it seems like it may be the safest thing. They're not traveling around the country. They're all in one spot. They're all playing their games in one spot. They're being fed and entertained and everything in one spot. So I can't think of a better way to try and contain, this particular virus from those particular athletes. I can't say anything about it. I mean, if you're going to try and do a season, I would model it after what the NBA has done.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL, I've been kind of reading about what the NFL is trying to do, and they do have certain protocols in place, but how are they going to put all those players in one particular place and just play football? I mean, they have so many people on the team, right? They have so many teams, and I just don't see how they could actually implement what the NBA has. I'm sure that they could do something similar. Obviously, they could do something similar, but they're not. They don't seem to be trying to implement anything like that where they're in a bubble. Apparently, baseball and NFL are going to be traveling from state to state to play their, particular sports, which is pretty dangerous. We're trying to limit, you going out into the public. We're trying to limit you getting on planes, although they have their own planes, that they're going to be on, which actually helps the cause. But it just didn't seem like they're going to be able to contain all their players, because they have a lot of players on their team. They're just not like, on a basketball team when they have how many players they have traveling, 14, 15 or something like that. How many players do they have in the NBA on a team that usually travels or whatever?
I think
they usually have like the starting lineup, and then they have another, like 8, 15, 9 players?
Maybe 15. Maybe
15 right there.
Yeah,
but on a football team, how many do they have? Maybe about 50,
55.
60? 55. So 55, I knew I was in the area. 55 players. Yep. So to be able to contain that many players on each team, that would be tough. So on that note, yeah, you're probably right. They may not be able to be successful about it, but I know they're going to try. They're going to try and make that happen, just because of what we discussed before, because of the finance, which I think is just completely ridiculous, but they're going to try it.
But here's the thing, right? So again, as I told you, my place is grab the bag, okay? We got to stop, we, meaning you and me, meaning the American people, we got to stop acting like money is not a driver in every decision we make, because it is. It decides where we live. Money decides if I'm going to drive downtown or not. Because if I don't got gas in my car, and I don't have money to put gas in the car, I'm not going downtown, right? So money is a deciding factor in a lot of things we do. Now, it just so happens that we are in a pandemic, and of course, you don't want money to be your deciding factor, and you try to shade away from that. But these are multi-billion-dollar businesses, and so they're looking at how can they continue to bring in revenue. So I agree. The NBA, I think, has done a great job so far. It looks like that they truly understood what to do. Major League Baseball, again, looks like they threw it on the wall hoping it stick, and it ain't working. Here's what the NFL can do. And you know what, Roger Goodell, if you're watching the Funk Basement, thank you. We take donations. The Cash App is FunkBasement. But here's what you can do, Roger Goodell. Divide, just simply stay. Well, first, let's back up. First, you got to understand, and this is what I think Adam Silver understood with the NBA. The season's not going to look like anything that we've ever seen before. See, Major League Baseball tried to keep baseball looking like something we've seen before. Okay? It's not going to look like anything we've seen before. You and I, we had a discussion about how the NBA, it looks different. They're in this gym, no fans. It looks like they're at the rec hall. The NFL is going to look the same. It has to look different to be safe. So what they can do is simply take the divisions, right? And I don't know how many divisions are in the NFL, but you take the division. So let's take the NFC East, right? Because that's my Cowboys division, okay? Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Washington. Well, they're not called the Redskins any longer. They're called the Washington team or whatever they're called. Okay, right? So you got 4 teams in that. No, is that right? That's it. Washington, Dallas, Philadelphia, New York Giants. Yep. So 4 teams in the NFC East. You take that division, you pick a city, okay? Whether it's Philadelphia, Dallas, New York, you pick a city, that's where all the games are. And you only play divisional games. So each team plays 2 divisional games, right? Or make it 3. You can make it 3 divisional games to make it a little bit longer. So that way, every division has a city, every division is in a bubble. Then once you get the divisional rounds done, we go to the playoffs. You don't have wild cards, right? You only take the divisional winners into the playoffs, okay? Then they go to one location, and all the games are played in one location. Then, from there, you have your NFC winner, you have your AFC winner, and then they play the Super Bowl. So it can be done, but you have to understand it's not going to look like anything we've ever seen before. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to, you're not going to have everybody having the opportunity to get to the playoffs. You're not going to be able to see all these teams all over the country, but it can be done. So to me, if they're thinking in that manner, grab the bag. But if they're not, I'm down with you. It's like, it's not going to work because all that's going to happen is, my boy, and I'll take ownership. Ezekiel Elliott is going to sneak out to a bar and then come back, and he got COVID, and the whole team got COVID, and then the Dallas Cowboys got a quarantine for 14 days, and the rest is history. So yeah. I mean, so again, to me, I understand getting the bag. I understand they got to get their money, but like I said, I don't think the NFL is going to be able to do it because it doesn't seem like they're trying to do anything different than what Major League has done, which has not worked.
No, I think that's a good idea. At least it would be a good start, for them to be able to try and contain something.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that's a lot of players to try and contain. Like you said, it's just too many players, and it's just too many knuckleheads, especially in the NFL. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
The things that we hear on the off season and stuff like that. It's like they have to be playing, and if they're not playing, then bets are all off. They just go off and do all this craziness because they're not busy. It's like kids. You have to keep them busy in order to keep them out of trouble, type of thing. And it just happens every year, no matter how bad the situation is, how bad the mistake is. It just seems like the next generation doesn't really learn from them. There's always 2 or 3 that have. I mean, it's every year. We talk about it every year. Why did this guy do this when he knows the same thing happened to this other guy and he's out the league? Stuff like that. And the same thing would happen if you tell a kid he can't do it, the more he gonna want to do it. It's the same type of thing. You're gonna tell them you can't leave. They're gonna sneak out and do what they want to do until something bad happens. I mean that. And and the same thing can happen with basketball. Despite how good their model is, it's just not going to be able to contain everybody.
Well, I think that's the reason why they're just doing it. I'm gonna be honest. I believe they understand that. They understand that there are some people who are going to follow the rules, follow protocol, and adhere to it. There are others that won't. And so their thought is, well, they're not going to adhere to it regardless. So we still going to do it. we're gonna do it, and stuff. And it's just it's sad, but that falls on each individual person to understand the dangers that we're facing, and stuff. But I mean, I'm gonna pray for them, and I hope that everybody's safe.
I have to agree with you again. You're right. They're just, I think that they know. In fact, I read an article the other day that said they do know.
Yeah.
I just can't remember what the subject was about that, but I read it, that some of the powers that be, they know that that's a possibility of what happens. So what may happen. So they're doing the best they can to provide, the best protection they possibly can and see what happens. So far, so good. Hasn't been a whole lot of problems with the NBA so far, which is a good thing. I'm happy for them as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
Baseball has been the completely opposite end. They've been hit by it, and so it's been a lot of players that have opted out. It's been the same in basketball too. People have, players have opted out that, I don't want to, put my family in jeopardy. I don't want to put others in jeopardy. I don't want to be in jeopardy. And I have nothing against that. That's completely their prerogative. And be honest with you, I think that's what they should do, because it's too serious of a problem to really put that type of job, and what I mean that type of job, pro athlete job, first before your family and your health. I just think, and I understand, we've already had that conversation, and this segment you're talking about, grab the bag. I'm saying put the bag back. Put it back. Put it back. Put that thing back, because it's not even worth it, man. And what we talked about before too is that, hey, me and you talk about it. We got to go to work. We got to do our thing. We got to make our money, because, we're not made of money. We don't have a huge bank account. And so we got to make our money, take care of our bills and family and stuff like that. So we got to go out there and do what we want to do. Try to be as safe as possible. But to be honest with you, and like you say too, we can go to the store, we can go to a gas station, we can catch COVID in any particular way. We try to stay at home, but there's certain things that we got to go out and do, and we just do it and try to be safe about it. But if we did not have to do that, right? If we had a huge bank account and didn't have to go to work, why go? Why put yourself at risk even more when you don't have to? And I know what you're going to say about that, but I mean, I just wouldn't do it. If I had all that money, I just wouldn't do it if I didn't have to.
Estelvio, so again, you drag me down this rabbit hole every time we have this conversation. Okay, you always drag me down
it's true, Clay. It's true, listen, my brother.
As I say to you every time, people in the Funk Basement, I need for you to write this down and remind Stelvio in the comments that I say this every time we have this conversation. Okay, everybody's, just because a brother makes $40 million over 4 years doesn't mean he lives like you and I. He lives like he makes, I'm going to tell you, if he makes $40 million over 4 years, he lives like he makes $100 million. Right? Because that's how economics works.
Typically that seems like that's human nature, and you're right. You tend to live above your means.
Listen, even the smartest financial person I know, okay, their credit that they have access to is way more than the amount of money they actually make. Now they don't leverage themselves to a point where they're unbalanced with debt versus what they actually have. But what I'm saying is we can't say, just because you and I are working Americans that gotta go to work every day, and when we don't go to work, it affects us. We can't say it's because a brother makes $1 million that he's not in the same boat. If you turned around and you bought mama a house, you bought auntie a house, you bought your brothers and sister houses, you got your houses, you got 4 kids. I mean, a paycheck stopping, even if it's $1 million paycheck, that's a paycheck stopping. Because what we know is Mr. Mortgage Man ain't stopping the mortgage payment. That $12,000 a month, that $15,000 a month is still due. So again, that to me, that can't, yes, in a perfect world, money should not be our driver, but we don't live in a perfect world. And it is. So to me, I cannot fault a brother that says, I gotta go to work. Okay, brother, I gotta go to work too. You know, so be safe, take care of yourself. So to me, again, the ownership falls on these leagues, these businesses that are having these employees come to work, making sure they're safe. And Major League, to this point, has done a horrible job. They did not think this thing out. They did not plan how they were going to do this, right? The NBA, to this point, has done a good job. Now, of course, you can't stop people doing stupid things. I mean, you can't. People, they do dumb things. But, you know, the hope is that no one gets sick and dies from this, having to go to work. So, but on that note, we're going to wrap this up and, you know, move on to something a little happier and stuff. But again, we ask that all of our fans and audience out there that you subscribe to the Funk Basement. We got new content coming every week. Put comments below. We appreciate your comments, and also hit the notification button so you're notified every time we drop a new video on the channel. I'm your boy, the one and only DJ Hustle, with my man Stelvio, and we out. We'll see you next time. Funk Basement.
We out. Funk Basement in the house. Peace.